Welcome to Wine Time Mysteries, where we talk about true crime, the paranormal, mysteries, and cryptozoology with a dash of comedy. This podcast contains adult themes and is intended for mature audiences only. Don't forget to click follow and tickle that little notification bell. Now, find a comfy spot. We're about to start today's episode.
Welcome back, dear mung buns. This week, I thought I'd take you to a little place called Jonesville, North Carolina, which is in the United States of the Americas.
I like that.
You're
We are
welcome.
out of Australia this week.
We are.
Yeah, do you know I used to live in a place called Johnsonville?
Did you?
Yeah. In New Zealand, so not as exciting. But think about that.
Johnson.
What is the nickname of a cock?
Johnson.
It's a Johnson.
That's
I
a
lived in Cockville. I always knew I was meant to be gay.
Yeah. If there was a guy, we're going to sprinkle a little gay. Oh, too much gay.
Too much.
It is here that an absolute piece of shit called Adam Leroy Lane was born on August 6th, 1964. 64. Apparently that's, I can't say six.
What?
Six. Making him, I ain't even going to correct myself because I'm like, this is what you're going to get. Making him a Leo. Ugh. He had what you could call a normal childhood and no previous criminal history. He dropped out of high school and would later become a truck driver. Truckie. When he was around 24, he married a woman named Miriam. However, they would divorce 5 years later, with Miriam quoting, say that a few times. Miriam. Keep going.
Miriam.
Yeah, of course you can.
Miriam.
Fuck yeah. When he was around 24, he married a woman named Miriam. However, they would divorce 5 years later, with Miriam quoting.
Miriam.
I ain't even gonna. This is what you get, alright? This is why you come back. Please come back. It's been that night for it, isn't it? We're just like, woo!
I think we might be on one.
But yes, she quoted that he thought women were beneath him and that he could do whatever he wanted. He hit me one time and he'd also abuse his mother. Red flag!
Is that a direct quote from Miriam?
Yeah, he's a real catch.
Do you know what? He reminds me of Andrew Tate.
Somehow he would manage to find another woman to marry by the name of Regina, and they would go on to have 3 daughters. Now, Adam was a long-haul trucker, which is someone who does long distance or interstate travel, just so you know. So they can be away for a while. He would normally drive from North Carolina up to Nashua, New Hampshire, which is around 736 miles, or 1,184 kilometres, or an 11-hour drive. He would also do deliveries around Boston as well. Not sure what he was carting to be exact, not like it matters, but all I know is he's a piece of shit. I guess I'll find out why. So let's jump right in. 13th of July 2007, in a suburban neighbourhood near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 42-year-old Darlene Ewalt was sitting on her back patio, enjoying the weather and talking on the phone to a male friend. At around 10 p.m, her husband Todd, who was her high school sweetheart since they met when they were 15, popped his head out to let her know he was going to bed. Darlene said she would be up shortly, to which Todd chuckled because he knew his wife would chat on the phone for hours. Can't say same because no thank you. Going to bed, Todd would later be awakened by a few men with flashlights asking him to put his hands up.
That same evening.
At first thinking it was a home invasion, Todd quickly realised it was some state troopers. Can you imagine waking up to that? Fuck that. Like you're just in bed, put your hands up. What? Exactly that, yeah. Very. Looking around, Todd noticed his wife's purse, cell phone, and keys sitting on the kitchen table. Immediately, he knew something was wrong, as she would never leave the house without them. There was also some flash photography going on, which we know is never a good sign.
It was that gave away that something was wrong?
Yeah.
Not the fucking stormtroopers?
Yeah. After about 3 hours, Todd was given the news that his wife had been murdered. Darlene was on the phone, as I said earlier, to a friend, when there was some muffled noises and suddenly the call ended. This was very unusual for Darlene, like she'd never just hang up without a goodbye. So being a good friend, the man told his wife and they headed over to her house to go see what was wrong. Unfortunately, they would stumble upon a horrific scene. Darlene's throat had been slit and she had also been stabbed numerous times with a long knife. All of this happened while her husband and son were asleep inside. Todd, unfortunately, would be blamed, as it's normally someone close to the victim, always the husband. It would take a little time before they found out who the real killer was. So yeah, she's literally outside on the phone. They've already gone to bed. I think he went to bed about 10, and I think this happened around 2 a.m.
That's not much time.
17th of July, 2007, only 4 days after the murder of Darlene, a woman in York County, Pennsylvania, by the name of Patricia Brooks, was asleep on her couch when she was awoken around 2 a.m. by a man wearing all black standing over her as he drove a knife blade into her fucking shoulder. She awoke to being stabbed in the shoulder. Fuck that.
Did she die?
No.
Okay.
Thank God, yeah. He slashed at her neck and fled as Patricia sat up and started screaming. Thankfully, she survived. Thank fuck. Can you fucking imagine that? You're asleep in your house, on your couch, and you wake up to a man stabbing you in the fucking shoulder.
Actually, I live alone. How dare you?
That's fucked. Fuck that. 29th of July, 2007, in a duplex in Bloomsbury, New Jersey, 38-year-old Monica Massaro awoke to some noises and found a man in her bedroom. She screamed and the man slit her throat and stabbed her in the head, neck and chest. Unfortunately, she would not survive. 30th of July, 2007. So it's all happening pretty fucking big July.
But they're also in such different locations as well that it makes sense that he's a traveller.
Yeah. 30th of July, 2007, in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is such a weird word to say.
So is Arkansas.
15-year-old Shay McDonough had just come home right before her curfew of 12 a.m. after spending some time with her friends. Before she headed to bed, she checked the back door and noticed it was unlocked. Thinking her older brother would be home a little later and not wanting to be woken up by him, she left the door unlocked and headed to bed. Apparently it would happen a fair bit where he'd message her at 2 a.m. and be like, open the door. So she was just like, fuck it, I'm going to leave it unlocked. Don't do that. Unfortunately, she did not know that her brother would not be coming home that night as he was going to stay at a friend's place. At around 4 a.m, Shay woke to something cold being held against her neck. A man wearing all black with a mask and gloves on said, if you make any fucking noise, I'm going to kill you. She started kicking and was super smart to push her back up against the bed, which in turn hit the wall, hoping to wake her parents who were in the next room. How fucking terrifying. Thankfully, the noise woke her parents as they could hear some muffled noises coming from her room. They both got up and saw a large man standing over their daughter. Her dad said, who are you? And the man stood up and lunged towards him with a knife. And it was one of those, is it a hunting knife? Where it's got the Sharpie boys and then on the back those fucking knives scare the shit out of me with the fucking... In full survival mode, her father jumped on the masked man, who was almost 3 times his size, and started yelling at his wife to grab the knife. Due to his size, she was unable to grab the knife off him and instead grabbed the blade between her palms to try and stop the attacks. That's a mum right there. Go fucking... Fuck that.
But that's also what they say to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you hold it like that so that they can't stab you with it.
Yeah, but then you're cutting the...
Only if they twist.
Her father yelled at Shay to call 911 and grab his gun. He didn't have a gun, but he was clever enough to say this.
To scare him, yes, Dad.
Yeah, right? I was like, what a good daddy. So yeah, hoping to subdue the man. Luckily, Shay's dad was a former wrestler. He's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler.
A wrestle.
But also, if I were in that kind of situation, I would be so dumb to be like, Dad, we don't have a gun.
Yeah. What are you talking about, Dad? We don't have a gun. Shut up and get the gun. No, we don't have a gun, Dad. Daddy, we don't have a gun. Luckily, Shay's dad was a former wrestler in high school and was able to put the man in a chokehold and subdue him until the cops arrived. And, like, I saw videos of his dad, like, when you see this guy to the dad, like, not to be mean, but the dad is a bit of, like, a string bean, like, very short, and this other guy's like, whoa, like, fucking go, dad, go. Spoiler alert, the masked man was Adam Leroy Lane, if you didn't know that already. He started freaking out and tried to say that he was just after money and that he was nobody and to let him go. Shay's father replied, "You're not going anywhere, you fat fuck." I was like, go, dad, go. Oh. I just loved it. I was just living for it. You fat fuck.
I don't know what he even looks like, but he can get it. Yeah. I'll give it to him.
I'll show you a photo. He's actually, it's cute. When the police arrived, they found a few different weapons on Adam. Some Chinese throwing stars, a choking wire.
What are you, a fucking ninja?
Yeah, this guy, seriously, is just fucking whack. And knives. After IDing Adam on August 2nd, they conducted a search of his truck and they found his logbook, some receipts, some knives, and a DVD player that had a horror film in it called Hunting Humans. This was a 2002 horror film about a mortgage broker who leads a double life as a narcissistic serial killer who prides himself in working out his victims' patterns and routines and claims to not have any of his own.
So it was a low-budget, B-grade shitty film.
Yeah, and it was his go-to film. The police.
I can't say that. I got it for the police. They came to beat up my boys. No police.
Did you say beat up my
boys?
My boys.
Oh. Come up and fuck me some my boys. I'm broken.
You are. But I'm living for the happy broken.
You are happy, right?
You're right. The police had received a couple of calls the night Adam broke into the McDonough house, as Adam had actually been on the prowl in the neighbourhood for a few hours and attempted to enter 3 other houses, with one mother saying she saw someone looking through her daughter's window. So his whole thing, he literally just looked and got people at random if their doors were unlocked.
And do you understand why I don't want to live on like a single level?
Yeah.
Like a ground level anything, house, nothing.
So easy to get into. So while the police in Massachusetts were putting their case together on this psycho, they were yet to realise the full extent of what this monster had actually done in such a small time frame. As I said earlier, the truck had been searched and had been held in an impound lot, being there for around several weeks when it was released to the owner, obviously unaware of the other crimes that had been committed by him. The owner had grabbed all of Adam's things out of the truck and thrown them in the bin at the impound lot in Massachusetts, which I find weird. Like, I get they caught him red-handed, but why wouldn't you kind of take everything out of the truck?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just in case? Now, around this time, the police in New Jersey reached out to see if other stations had any info that could help them with the murder case of Monica. You see, Monica lived not too far from a truck stop. So when the police were like, yeah, we got some creep who's a trucker and tried to do something to a young girl, they knew they had the guy. Fortunately, the police from New Jersey were able to retrieve Adam's items out of the trash before the garbage truck was scheduled to empty the bin that day. How fucking lucky is that? So lucky. They were able to tie Adam to the murder of Monica as they found a receipt in the truck that showed he was in New Jersey around the time she was killed. And they were also able to grab some DNA. In one of Adam's interrogations, he said, just because they found some horror movies in my truck, they've made it out like I'm the worst mass murderer you ever seen in your life.
Whatever, dumb fuck. That's what you wanted to be.
Right. I watched the footage and, he is just a piece of shit. Once he realised the police were there for the murder of Monica, he just stopped talking and said, I'm done, because he thought they were just talking about Shay and the break and enter. He didn't actually realise, oh, fuck, I've been caught. As soon as it kind of brought up, you literally, if you watch the video, he just kind of goes down like this. And, his whole demeanour just changes and he's like, I'm done. After several minutes, he would call the police back in and was ready to confess to Monica's murder. Before he confessed, he said, "This is gonna kill my family." No, he just fucking killed a lot of other families. And this is gonna kill... choice of words.
You ruined people's lives, and now you're worried about this killing your family emotionally?
And, what was he gonna do to the 15-year-old girl? You have daughters.
He was gonna rape her, because he said, shut up or I'll kill you, basically, right?
Yeah, because all the others, he just stabbed straight away. So when confessing about Monica, he said he went there to steal some things. He woke her up by accident and she started screaming, to which he tried to make her be quiet. Now listen to this part, this is going to just fucking... He then went on to say that the knife was on the bed and she rolled against it and that's how her throat was slit. Fuck off. Because he's like, oh yeah, because the jugular is here and she just rolled over and just stabbed herself. And then the cop's kind of looking at him huh? And he's like, so she was cut from here to... And he's like, yeah, down to about here, but she just rolled onto the knife.
That's have you seen Chicago?
No.
He ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times.
Oh, stop stabbing yourself. Stop stabbing yourself. Yeah. What the fuck? How dumb.
That is such a bold-faced lie.
Yeah. So dumb. He apparently panicked and wanted to make it out like it was a crime of passion by also cutting her between her legs. He denied any sexual gratification because, and I quote, "I love my wife very much. I ain't out for sexual joys."
You start to rob people and kill them?
Yeah.
He cut her between the legs?
Yeah, so then he kind of explained that he freaked out and there was so much blood everywhere, so then he cut her between the legs to try and make it look like a sexual crime of passion or some shit. I don't fucking know what he was thinking. Dumb. So already we have Adam for 2 of the attacks, one resulting in the murder of Monica, but the police were yet to find out that he had murdered Darlene and attacked Patricia. So while all this was going on, Darlene's husband Todd was subpoenaed to appear in front of the grand jury in early September for the murder of his wife. Can you believe that? Can you imagine?
I can't imagine, but I can believe that.
Can't imagine, can believe. Yeah, it just seems like such a common thing in America. They're just straight away no, you're the killer. And it's no, but no trust. So backtrack a little. Remember how I said they found some of Adam's things that had Monica's DNA on them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they tested his knives and Darlene's DNA was found on there as well.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so they weren't even looking for that. They were just we're going to test the knife. Oh, what the fuck is this? Yeah. One thing that I thought was really fucked.
Did she roll on it too?
Yeah,
on the
right.
knife?
Oh, no, she just, I don't even know Darlene. She must have, stabbed herself with my knife. Fucking dickhead. No, he didn't say that with her. Wouldn't be surprised though. One thing I found a bit fucked was Darlene had a daughter as well who didn't live at home at the time, and all the while she's dealing with her mother being murdered and her dad being up for
being
murder.
Almost charged for it.
Yeah. She actually found out that her mother's DNA was on Adam's knives by the local newspaper. That's how she found out.
Shit.
Yeah. How fucked is that? To be so she literally called her dad and she's have you seen, I don't even think he was contacted yet. Obviously, Todd was cleared after this news and the police apologised to him for treating him unfairly and they would do everything in their power to bring Adam to justice. Look, at least they apologised, but this poor man, sat in the house with his murdered wife just outside, didn't tell him for 3 hours. They're nah, you fucking killed her. The shit he would have gone through. And
then he wouldn't have been in prison yet, but he was in jail.
It's fucked. Totally fucked. Adam was now facing charges in Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. First up in Massachusetts, given he was literally caught red-handed, there was no trial, and instead he made a plea. He wanted the sexual assault charges to be dropped as he said he wasn't going to sexually assault her, which I think, there was a little part of me where I'm maybe he wouldn't have, but, he was going to fucking murder her. He had a strangling, one of those, wire handle things on each side.
Yeah.
Doing my hand moving like that.
I've seen those before with people who work with clay.
Ah, yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, I think they also call it a garrote.
Oh, you grot. The family agreed to this plea as it meant their daughter wouldn't have to take to the stand, so to say. Like, she was only 15 years old is pretty, yeah.
The situation in general is going to scar you. The last thing you want to do is have to stand up there in front of them talking about it.
Mm-hmm. He would receive 25 to 30 years in prison in Massachusetts. And I think given that they found out of the murders as well, they kind of knew that, okay, well, our justice has somewhat been, you know what I mean? Like, they were kind of like, yeah, well, he'll get fucked over everywhere else with the other ones. Shay's mother went to New Jersey as she wanted to see this piece of crap get put away for good. She met Monica's parents, and Todd was also there. They were able to meet each other during such horrific circumstances. It's kind of sad when something like that happens and it, like, brings them all together over something, like, you're just, like, tied over. It's fucked. During the trial, Adam showed no remorse, surprise, surprise, and when told he was sentenced to 50 years in prison for the murder of Monica, he did, like, this weird thing where he kind of just, like, it's like he was in his mind. Well, I feel he looked like he was just like, huh? And then just kind of, like, looked down. Like, he just, I don't know.
Only 50 years.
Yeah. The final trial was in 2010 for the murder of Darlene, so 7 to 10, and it's obviously drawn out a fair while, in Pennsylvania, and the attack on Patricia. Monica's family attended as well, and so did the McDonough family. Prosecutors originally wanted to seek the death penalty. However, the Ewalt family was not ready to go through a trial and hear all the details and possible defense they would use. Like, they literally did not want to hear the gruesome part of how their wife/mother.
You also don't want to hear his lawyers, because he would have been the defendant, I guess, in that case. You don't want to hear them trying to reason with you about how this person died, or blame someone else for that.
Yeah.
Especially the person you love that you lost.
Right, and, like, from 15.
So I don't blame them.
Yeah. Oh, it was so sad. Todd was like, I watched this documentary and he's talking on it and he's obviously still getting upset, but, like, you could tell he fucking loved her. And it was so heartbreaking, the poor guy. So Adam pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Darlene and received 10 to 20 years for the attempted murder of Patricia. One thing that was super sweet and just broke my heart was that after the sentences, Darlene's daughter would actually speak to Shay's mother whenever she kind of needed her, and every conversation would end with, "I love you."
Oh.
I was like, oh, right in the soul.
Right in the heart bone. It's kind of, it's funny that it wasn't until Pennsylvania that they gave the life sentence. But also, like, if they gave the life sentence in the first one, then kind of what is the point of the two trials?
Yeah. Adam is currently serving his sentences in the Fayette State Correction Institution, which is a smaller prison of around 2,000 prisoners in Pennsylvania. Police think he might possibly have some more victims out there that he may not be linked to yet, and Adam won't cooperate / tell police why or if he did harm to anyone else. But I did see things where there was one in one of the docos I watched, and they're like, he was to blame for 2 other people, but then I couldn't find those 2 other people, so I kind of feel like they just... Yeah.
You don't include the people if you can't find the actual...
Yeah, like, I feel like he would have done possibly a bit more.
For sure, but you know what I don't understand? I actually don't understand when someone has been convicted and they will be spending the rest of their life in jail, apart from, unless he believes in some miracle world he'll be able to go up for parole or he can appeal the case. I don't actually understand why people don't, like, dude, you're locked up.
Yeah.
Why aren't you just letting it all out there, confessing to everything you've done? Give some closure for people. 100%.
And just before I end this, if you wanted to read a book on this case, I didn't read the book this time, but you can. I didn't read it. Yeah, I was going to, but then I couldn't find it, and I was just like, I'm not going to buy it. Shay's mother wrote one, as she really wanted to find out why he did the things he did, because it all escalated and happened in July 2007. Like, there's not a lot of back history, so I think it may be in the book.
Yeah.
The book is called Caught in the Act, A Courageous Family's Fight to Save Their Daughter from a Serial Killer by Jeannie McDonough. And that, my dear mung beans, is the absolute piece of shit that is Adam Leroy Lane, and a reminder to please lock your doors. Thank you. And that's all I got. And on that note,
Goodbye.
goodbye.